Well, wasn't that a reality check? Anyway, still a pretty good pod.
For number 10, there it is. Ben Brown hits double figures.
So fair to say, the energy lower today.
I
Marnie.
hate reality.
Yeah. The winning thing is way cooler. And if we could just stick to that, I'd be a lot happy.
Yeah, I much prefer like the positive Delulu North Melbourne that we've had in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, way better.
But yeah, reality check I guess was needed to bring us all crashing back down to earth this weekend.
Well, to kick off the pod, more fun topics, then we'll get into the game.
Okay, sounds good.
Number one, I'll get it right. I've got it right here. This is the Tristan Jerry helmet I've purchased. Thank you to everyone who has messaged and said they've got their helmets ready.
We've got a bit of an army, a bit of a Sherry army.
I think it's a movement, Marnie. I think that's what I would call it personally, a movement.
I think we're going to need a bit of protection after the weekend. That
Well,
we've just gone
in
through.
more ways than one. There's going to be a few latex companies all over the place. So, oh no.
Oh God, we're not even a minute in yet.
Yeah, I know.
Shit.
Thank you to everyone who's got the helmets. Please, there's still time. Round 21 against Richmond. Get your helmets. So many people have got them already. Close to a flags all over it. Their helmets are on the way. And yeah, please get around it, guys, because everyone looks better in a helmet. We all know that. Even money.
I don't look better in a helmet, but I will still wear one for the occasion. I'm actually going to DIY mine a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a something for you guys.
Wow. And then also the Aiden Core candy shop photos. So we did this a couple of weeks ago. It's a little bit more, it's been on the back burner a tiny bit, but we've sent the photos to Mr. Core,
Yes.
Marnie's best friend. And because she's got the connections, we're going to see if he can tell us his favourite. And that will be the winner. And Marnie will buy you an Aiden Core badge.
So hopefully we will have a winner before the Carlton game on Sunday. So we will definitely keep you guys posted on that. And then I will speak to the winner and we will organise to get you an Aiden Core badge at the game next Sunday.
Very exciting.
Very exciting.
It's very exciting.
Okay, less exciting things.
Yeah.
We got business to get to.
We got smashed. We got smashed by the Swans. Now, it's interesting because, you know, a month ago, maybe a little bit more, 6 weeks ago, I'd be like, yeah, we were going to get smashed by the Swans.
Yeah.
Last 5 weeks, I've been like, you know what? We might be able to compete.
We'll have a chance.
We didn't.
No, we did. We did. The first quarter was pretty good.
Yeah.
And it was just so disappointing because I think we've obviously had a great build up over the last 6 weeks. And dare I say, this was probably this is the biggest challenge you're going to face, the ladder leaders, and they've been the ladder leaders all season at home, and they really needed to respond. They've obviously had 2 losses in a row, and for them, they're probably licking their lips thinking there's nothing better than us to make a statement. Obviously, Heaney was out through suspension, but Parker and Mills are both back in the side, and, you know, to go up to the SCG is never an easy task,
No.
let alone on the back of 2 losses. So they're probably thinking 17th place North Melbourne, we need to make a statement, we need to get our season back on track, and what better way to do it than to thump North by 79 points.
The whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, please, no more points. We need the percentage to stay with us so we can win a game and go above West Coast on the ladder.
Yeah.
But then the percentage took a big hit. It's been a while since we got like a 70-point thrashing.
It was one of our worst losses for the season. I
Feels
think
very like April 2024.
Yeah, it's just, I remember sitting here after the gather round game.
And the Geelong game.
Yeah, and the Geelong game and thinking, oh God, life is tough. And look, I mean, it's perspective is a great thing. And I mean, we've had a fantastic 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And so this is probably a reality check. I don't think it's a reality check we needed. No one wanted it. And I don't think that we are getting ahead of ourselves as where we're at. I think everyone's pretty realistic as where the team's currently sitting.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that we have had a great turnaround in the last 6 weeks, we are still in the bottom 4. We're actually, we're 17th on the ladder, but I just would have liked a little bit more competitiveness across 4 quarters.
Yeah.
The first quarter was great. It was very entertaining, very exciting. A lot of Toby Pink theatrics, which we'll get to.
Wow.
But then, I mean, after quarter time, we actually had no answers. We genuinely looked like we stopped on the park.
Yes, that was the first time I feel like, look, I think give up is maybe the wrong way to phrase it, but there was no intent after quarter time, or the chases started to be a little bit more lackluster. The stats, I mean, just the the possession differential was huge
Well, we
throughout
just
the game.
weren't in the game whatsoever.
No.
We got smashed in pretty much
There wasn't
every
one
area.
element that we were holding our own in.
We matched them a couple of times around the ground, but like tackles inside forward 50. I mean, that's great. That's probably like one of the first
we didn't have
times
the
we've
ball.
actually we've broken even in that area. And our efficiency inside forward 50 was actually not too bad in comparison to what it's been for the rest of the season.
Yeah, true.
But like when you know, that means nothing when you walk off, 80-point losers.
Well, that is true. That is true. Yeah, look, we started all right. Like we still won it out of the middle a little bit. Obviously, the first break we got a good run on. Was it Warner who like fumbled the ball and then we just ran and countered straight away? LDU sort of very, very predictable entry into the 50. I mean, I was looking at LDU and his form. He got the ball. He burst away from the stoppage quite quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, geez, here we go. Where's Larky? Let's see if we can hit him. And once again, it's sort of like, put it to the top of the square and hope again.
Yeah.
And, that's sort of what I didn't enjoy. Like the first quarter was good. And once again, there was a Toby Pink show. Every week's the Toby Pink show.
Oh, we love the Toby Pink show.
But yeah, very, very predictable forward 50 entry from a much improved team. And this is the thing, it has to be coached this way. We can't just be doing that. I understand that in previous weeks, say, pre-buy, we were doing that because we were under so much pressure. We needed to get rid of the ball very quickly.
Yeah.
But now we've got space with the ball. We take more possession. We switch and we move the ball. So we've got space. LDU had a mile of space. And once again, didn't seem to even think about finding a lead.
Yeah.
And were there leads there? Look, I don't know. But you would, because I couldn't see on the broadcast, but you would think or hope there would be with ZURHAAR and Larky and, Curtis or Ford down there.
And they all looked pretty threatening yesterday. I mean, Larky kicked 3, Bull kicked 2, Pink kicked 2. So there were definitely options up forward. I think for me from here is, and I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but I think we just need to take the loss, process it, and move forward. My fear here, because we've got Carlton and Geelong in the next 2 weeks. Now, Carlton's now lost 2 games in a row. They're going to be looking to bounce back. Geelong is all of a sudden finding form at the right time, albeit the game's in Hobart. But, they're
doesn't matter when we're 17th.
Well, they're an extremely threatening outfit.
Yeah, of course.
On the back of those games, we've got West Coast and we've got Richmond, which are both winnable games.
Yes.
I just hope we can kind of weather the storm over the next couple of weeks and
get our game
out,
back on track.
Exactly. And come out of it and not lose confidence in ourselves by the time we get to those 2 fixtures, because I think both of those games we actually should win.
Yeah,
We're
I
definitely
agree.
better than both of those sides
I agree.
from what we've sort of shown this far. So I just hope now that we can kind of hold firm, put in a competitive performance against Carlton, put in a competitive performance against Geelong and really stick to the post-buy form that we had seen and the game style that we've seen and sort of be aggressive and, lower the eyes and find better options and move the ball like methodically up the ground rather than butchering it and trying to rush because we're under pressure. So that by the time we get to that Richmond and West Coast fixtures, we play them 2 weeks in a row. So by the time we get to those fixtures, we're actually still, we back ourselves in. Exactly.
Yeah.
We're confident we back ourselves in to get the job done.
Yeah, I think that's the thing over the next 3 weeks. Look, I don't think I don't think it's super realistic to think we're going to beat the Blues and the Cats. If we play our game like we have the last few weeks, look, you never know. But we're going to be heavy underdogs.
Of course.
I think those next 2 games, we really have to make sure it's time to trial a couple of things. If you need to tighten up that forward 50 entry or make sure that pressure's on, I'd nearly say make sure our game is being played the right way over not trying to win, because that sounds all. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think it's a time in the next few weeks that we are underdogs. Let's make sure we get the game plan right. We tweak anything we need to, so we go into those winnable games. Because we do need to be realistic as well. I understand you want to go into every game and win, but I think with where we're at, you've got to be eyeing those Richmond and West Coast games and being like, okay, we've got 2 pretty tough weeks. Let's make sure we're in good form. Let's make sure the forward 50 entry, the clearance is working, the defense is structured right, so we can go into those winnable ones and smash them. That would be my mindset.
It's an opportunity to try things and to learn as well. I don't think that you can look at, yesterday was just a complete shambles, but I think approaching the Carlton and the Geelong games, I don't think there's anything wrong looking at those games and thinking, hey, this is a really good opportunity for us to learn, see what we can take away, try new things, try new matchups, positions, potentially players as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about too, because I think on the back of yesterday's, I'm a very much if it's not broke, don't fix it sort of thing, but I do think there was a couple of people who played yesterday who could come out omitted come out and make some changes. So we'll have a chat about that. But I think for the most part, the next couple of weeks, we just really need to hold firm. We need to back ourselves in, and I think we need to go into every game thinking we can win it. I mean, crazier things have happened. And while I watch a lot of Carlton and I don't think we'll get anywhere near them next week, unfortunately, I think there's a really good opportunity there. There's some great players in there who we can learn from. And, there are things we can try. We're back home at Marvel. Like we only play at Marvel or in Tassie for the rest of the season, which is crazy to me. But, we may as well just make the most of the opportunity that's presented to us and look at it as a learning opportunity rather than, be overwhelmed by it and get thumped once again.
So let's have a look. Let's go defense, midfield, forward line, and we'll sort of chat about it.
Yeah, great.
The defense yesterday, maybe bar Jackson Archer, I think. Ankor had another solid game. But we did get, 100 and...
Say it again.
Jackson Archer was great, but you put up, what do they put up, 138 points or something like that?
They'd hit the over 100 mark like midway through the third quarter.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
absolutely
dirty day.
I think Chom and Callan Dawson got comprehensively beat, and we were talking a little bit just before this. Callan Dawson was pretty poor yesterday. He was so far behind his player. He was the closest guy to the open man getting the mark in the forward line so many times. He just didn't look like he could. Do you remember gather round times, or even last year's gather round, where our defenders were pushing up really, really high and leaving a lot of space out the back? Mm-hmm. And Dawson was playing, on Amadi, I think, in this one play, and he just ran into the forward line. Dawson couldn't keep up. Yeah. That happened a lot of times. Papley was the same a couple of times. We just couldn't keep up with their transition forward.
Yeah.
But the amount of times that Dawson was the player who should be tracking that man was concerning. He's had a great season.
Yeah, it's untimely performance from Dawson because we know Griffin Logue's been playing in the VFL and rumours has it that he is looking ready to come back. So that's not great for him. And it's sort of unfortunately, it's sort of the first time he's really slipped up.
I would hope he maybe doesn't get dropped after one bad display, but it is good that there's pressure with Logue there
100%
coming in. Now we've got some selection
people
headaches.
To stand up. I thought Aiden Court, like you said, was really solid. He was probably our best defender, tall defender, I should say. Sorry, out of the bunch. But Jackson Archer on Haywood.
Some say he's still in Jacko's pocket. Very, very good performance. You can't fault the man and what he's doing at the moment.
It's quite unbelievable, really. Some of these players, and McKercher's sort of the same for me. They've come in and they've only, even Dawson,
played 10 games.
They've played 10, 15 games, and it's you're actually a phenomenal footballer.
Well, that's a good point, because we'd say Dawson, Archer, and we'll put McKercher in there. I guess you can say a Fisher being new to the club and that sort of stuff as well. This defence as a unit's very new together and very, very young.
Which has sort of been the theme of the whole season all side. Yeah. And we've been sort of saying just be patient and let them gel.
Yeah. Luke McDonald and Aiden Core are the only two down there who I'd say are experienced defenders.
Yeah.
Other than that, some of those other guys have played defence for a long time, but in this back line with this six, very, very fresh and new. So, good. Good on him. And Jackson Archer is doing a lot to make Luke McDonald not have to play on someone like that, which is good for him because, once again, you look at any North Melbourne post and there's always people saying Luke McDonald needs to go. And I'm not sure what game they're watching. I know he's not going to be a McKercher or a Fisher off half-back or something like that, but geez, he's been solid. And look, I'm not saying he was great yesterday. The whole defence as a unit, I don't think we can praise. You can praise individuals, but as a unit, no. I don't think there's too much to complain about with the defence. As a unit and what we're building, bad day against the best team in the league.
And I think, and we'll talk about the midfield soon, but you still need to have experienced players in there. And the reality is that most of our experienced players, I'm talking those mid-tier players, so your ZURHAARs and your Larkies and your LDUs, these guys haven't really had a lot of success. Yeah. They haven't really seen a lot of wins. So while McDonald and Core, and we'll talk about Liam Shields as well, while these guys are, they've all played pretty well over the last sort of 6 weeks, in particular. And they all have their off days. Everyone does. But these guys have all know what it takes to be successful. Luke McDonald obviously experienced some success when he started at North in his early days. Liam Shields obviously at Hawthorn and Aiden Core at the Giants before both of them came across. There's a need for players like this too, because they know what it takes.
Yeah, slim pickings everywhere else in the list.
And
basically.
I completely understand, like, it's frustrating and play the kids. And yes, of course you need to play the kids, but the kids need, and it's hard because we're sitting 17 the ladder, but the kids do need standards and they do need a little bit of leadership and a bit of experience.
Yeah, we've known the standards have been raised since the bye though, which we can
100%.
clearly see.
And
but
a lot of
it
it's
needs to keep continuing.
And a lot of that has been driven from the likes of Sheasel and, and LDU and these guys who are a little bit younger. But there is merit in having these guys in the side.
Yep.
And I think they're all, you know, they're the first ones to be called out when they've played out an off game.
I think so. It's like we sort of said before, like Charlie Comben got comprehensively beaten, but still found a way, still got the most intercepts for our team and still, you know, did what he does. And his bad performance wasn't so bad that he didn't do anything or didn't contribute still. And I think that's a sign that the level has been raised. 100%. Even though Charlie Comben got beaten on the day, was still able to intercept and was still able to lead or was still desperate to get that football. And I think that's the base minimum that we're seeing post-bye compared to pre-bye.
Aiden Core, chef's kiss.
This is the Aiden Core podcast now, isn't it?
How good is that?
Not great. Let's talk about the midfield. This is the area for me where I probably was the most disappointed.
Oh, we got completely obliterated in the centre.
The clearance numbers weren't, I guess, awful. The Swans won the clearance. It was more hit outs we got.
Well, Sherry, it's probably the first time this season I've seen Sherry comprehensively beaten, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Grundy's just that complete opposite style of ruckman that even though Sherry's been really, really good, that Grundy type ruck is still better for the modern game, I would say. Where, you know, a couple of times Grundy got a couple of clearances and looked like Bont running out of there. Yeah. So, and that's not something that Jerry is going to be able to keep up with. He dominates in his own way, as we've seen, and he's got his own skills. But, I think it was a comprehensive beat by
Grundy. I think this is the first time this season I've actually seen Sherry beat comprehensively. Like, I think Sherry's had an excellent season, and I've said this before, I think he will be in discussion for the squad for All Australian, especially with Max gone out now. It's pretty clear. But I think it's hard because Grundy and Gawn are obviously the two best ruckmen in the competition. Then I would have Sherry, this season I'm talking about, I would have Sherry third in that.
Yeah,
that list,
I think
right?
that's fair. But
then to watch Sherry get completely outplayed yesterday it just sucks. Like, it sucks for him. I actually, like, it is what it is, right? Like, he's not an elite athlete yet, like a Grundy or Gawn, and I do think that he can get to a level where
he's only 24.
He is dominating the ruck competition across the board, right? But it was, for me, I was actually just disappointed for him because I know and we know how good he's been this season, and we put our hand up multiple times and said we got it so wrong and we couldn't be happier to see him really flourish this season, and we've been so impressed. And he has been able to, over the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks, not only dominate the ruck but then also start to dominate across the ground. So for him yesterday, I was just disappointed for him that, you know, while he has had this incredible season and he should be in discussion for All Australian and he should be in discussion for the Sid Barker medal, to see him get completely wiped by Brodie Grundy, it was just a bit sucky, I think.
Yeah, it did suck. I think he was okay around the ground still. I think there was a couple of times he dropped right into the hole in defence and took the intercept. They called that out on the broadcast, and everyone's favourite commentator, Dermot Brereton, with him. I mean,
smack that guy, honestly.
I've said this before about Dermot Brereton. He is... I mean, mansplaining is not the word because it wasn't directed at a lady, but like just over-explaining, being like, I know exactly what's going on here, so listen to me.
It's like, so do we, buddy. It's all right.
Yeah, it's like, no, we've watched football too, mate.
Get it.
It's just, he just commentates like everyone else is there watching the game for the first time. But to his credit, he did say in this time that you can see Jerry's back there sitting in the hole. If they kick this in long, he'll intercept. And literally it's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So here I am trashing Dermot Brereton when he was spot on. But no, good at that. He presented around the wing sometimes and took some marks.
He did. He still contributed
in
again.
That, it's almost swapped in a way the last couple of weeks where like in the middle in a ruck contest, he's maybe hasn't dominated quite as much as he did earlier in the season.
Yeah.
But around the ground, he's been a lot better. So he'll find the balance and get there. But look, a bad game, just like when the team's not clicking as well, I guess.
No, and it's hard. And I think we've spoken about team defence quite a bit over the last few weeks. And obviously the midfield got completely dominated and they were just unable to stop the Swans bringing the ball into the forward 50 so quickly. And that's probably why we got caught out so many times as well. So that makes it really hard. I think our game and the way the game flowed was very symbolic of Jai Simpkin's performance. Yeah. So I've got a note here that Simpkin, I thought his first quarter was excellent. He set the pace early. He was the one who really took control out of the middle. He was, setting things up, moving forward. And then after the first quarter, he comes out. He's still getting a lot of the ball, but he's making some really silly mistakes. And we spoke a few weeks ago about Aiden Core and his white line fever, and he gave away a few really silly free kicks. And it was just it was kind of just annoying more than anything. I don't know if it was so costly, but it was just annoying. Simpkin was the same yesterday. He gave away a few really silly free kicks just out of frustration. And, he kicked the ball into our forward 50 a couple of times, straight to the chest of a Swans player. And it's sort of like, he's the captain or he's co-captain and I get what he's trying to do. And I think he set the pace. He had 11 touches in the first quarter or something freakish.
It was almost like that Eagles game where he sort of tried to set the tone.
He had an elite first quarter. I thought he was excellent in the first quarter. And then he did come out in the second quarter and while he still he was still around the ball and he was still getting involved, he was just butchering the ball and making silly mistakes and silly decision making and giving away some free kicks. And unfortunately, I think that was kind of the script for us for the game.
Yeah, I think the rest of the team sort of feeds off that. It goes two ways though, right? Simpkin comes out and tries to set the standard, which a leader should do.
Yeah.
If he's not completely on, he needs, there are better players around him though, like your LDUs and your Wardlaws.
Well, LDU was pretty good yesterday.
LDU
and I
was
thought
good.
Wardlaw was quite good on return. He did some nice things, but he was
very quiet.
Yeah, a lot of them were very quiet. There was very few players, I think, yesterday that really stood out and made you notice them.
Yeah, I think a Sheasel as an example around a Simpkin. They're the icing. Simpkin can do a little bit of the grunt work, but he does have a lot of better players around him. So if they're not clicking, maybe Simpkin doesn't click as well. It's a cohesive performance, and it's easy to say, look, Simpkin should just be really good, so make everyone come along with him.
Yeah.
When that works, it looks great, but that isn't the reality all the time. So look, I liked Simpkin's intent and his effort, but the execution wasn't there yesterday. But you'd rather him have the right intent without the execution than no intent at all and not be able to execute anything. So look, once again, a dog day for a lot of these guys, which will be a trend of us talking about a lot of these lines. But, at least his intent was there. Sheasel to me I think LDU was the best midfielder for us.
Yeah, I agree with
had a lot of impact. Sheasel maybe lacked a little bit of impact for me. Still got a lot of the ball and got a lot of clearance. I think he had about 11 centre bounce attendances, which I thought he maybe would have had more. Still got I think the most clearances for us and did a lot of the dirty work, but maybe the execution for him wasn't the final product, as in he wasn't kicking it to people's chests and things like that. Had a good play sort of through the middle that ended in a lucky goal with a bit of link up with some guys, but other than that, I think, he didn't find the space and the creativity that maybe he found the week before. And the Swans probably looked at that and went, that's the guy we've got to slow down.
I think we're probably just a bit tired as well, to be honest. We've been on such a high pretty much since the middle of June. We're a young side and we know that fitness has been a bit of an issue for us for the whole season. And we just looked gassed yesterday.
Because there was a lot of, I looked at the stats in the third quarter and there was a lot of our players on 12 to 15 touches.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of passengers is too hard of a word, but there was a lot of guys who were good but weren't getting on over that. Tom Powell, a little bit nowhere to be seen yesterday as well. I think Wardlaw was similar. He had his moments and it's his first game back. So, let's get him warmed back up into AFL footy.
Yeah.
And we know what he can do. He's a star, but, lacking intent and lacking execution, but then also not getting the ball much on top of that leads to a flatter midfield performance. And I think most of our mids were like that.
Well, I think looking at the stat here, 56 to 21, 1%ers in favour of the Swans. That just kind of, it's the work rate. It's the work rate clearly just wasn't there yesterday. And look, it's hard. I feel like we will bounce back and we will be able to put in, on the back. I think we'll be able to string together another really good solid 6 performances to finish out the season. Now, whether we get close to opposition sides or not, it's a different story, but we just look like we were just so flat yesterday and we just really didn't look like we were after quarter time anyway. We just couldn't run with the Swans. We just couldn't go with them. So I think that we really just need to treat this as a complete reset, and hopefully we've got an 8-day break now, which I feel like we haven't had for a very long time. So I think that it will really work in our favour.
109 to 82 marks as well. And I think our midfield suffered with the lack of control, maybe coming out of the back line as well. There was a little bit more. It felt like either longer kicking again or not having the possession to cut through the midfield. It felt like a slog, and the Swans would always sort of break up the play or cause a contest and win it back from stoppage. So, our game has been kick, mark, possession and then go. And the Swans just completely took away that game from us yesterday.
Yeah, they played the game completely on their terms.
There's the last stat I've got here, 262 to 201 uncontested possessions.
Yeah.
So, and that's usually been the opposite way around. We've at least been beating teams in recent weeks with uncontested possession. So they clearly, the stats show, took away our game completely. But I think the midfield, battled hard, but comprehensively beaten on the day.
Let's talk about the sub. Liam Shields was subbed out of the game in the third quarter.
Yep.
There was a lot of talk about Will Phillips not playing yesterday. He was omitted ahead of the game. You touched on it a little bit in the preview pod on Friday. I have a big issue with this omission.
Can I say one thing quickly, and I'm going to let you go?
Yes.
Marnie, 'cause my point's very, very quick.
Go.
I saw a lot of people saying, well, who's he going to play on? He's not quick enough for Goulden, or, Chad Warner, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. I think that's a bit ridiculous. Like, we also would have said before the Collingwood game, can Will Phillips tag Nick Dacos? And everyone would have said no.
Yeah.
So, and we saw Goulden just absolutely tore us to shreds. Even if he's not quick enough to go with Goulden, maybe he puts a body on in a contest and he doesn't get the possession that he did before. So all of that sort of chat about Will Phillips not being suited for this game, I think was a bit ridiculous, especially on a SCG field, which is suited to contested ball.
Yeah.
And look at the guys who dominated. So, I think the omission was not a good one. I think that was bad coaching and selection from the coaches. But it is what it is. Marnie, you've got a rant.
I just think it's disappointing. I think, and I don't want this to come across as we should have dropped Shields instead, because I think Shields has actually been the better of the two, and I think Shields has been the one who deserves his spot and who cemented his spot over Phillips.
Do you think he's been better than Phillips?
Yeah.
Even
for a
with the
longer
tagging?
period of time.
Oh,
he's been
more
able to-
consistent.
He's been more consistent. I mean, Phillips has come in and had 4 really good games, but before, Shields has really held his spot the whole season. And I think what Shields brings to the side aside from tagging, I think is very valuable. It's obviously that leadership. It's the 1%ers. It's the effort. I mean, I think Shields has been excellent. I think he's been a great addition for us over the past couple of seasons since coming across to North. The issue I have with dropping Phillips is it's not about can he go with a Goulden, can he go with a Warner. He may or may not have stopped them, and he may or may not have made a difference to the result yesterday. But playing him gives him an opportunity to stand next to a Chad Warner or to stand next to an Errol Goulden, who are 2 of the elite midfielders in the competition, and say, you go learn from them.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's what I was saying before. You come back to this whole learning opportunity, and it's opportunity for him to actually just test out his craft. And, this guy needs game time. He needs consistency and he needs continuity in his game to be able to get himself confident and to get himself, ready to sort of take his game to the next level next season. I don't think Liam Shields will play on again after this season. I think he will retire at the end of the year. I think it's expected that he'll probably do that.
I think so.
And there is nothing, it would be great to have a Phillips ready to go and that changing of the guard, and for him to sort of be ready to go round 1 next year and be able to tag and be able to be that lockdown midfielder that has been used. I mean, the tagger has been used so much across this season, across all
taggers back.
Heaps of clubs. I mean, even the best clubs are doing it. Carlton's got Chincotta who's doing it, and there's other teams who are doing it. And I think Phillips has the ability to do it and do it successfully. Now, I know there's a lot of the argument is he was pick 3 and we want him so badly to be good and we want him so badly to contribute.
It is what it is at this point.
We've said this a million times before. he didn't select himself at pick
No, the
3.
pick doesn't matter anymore. If people are still harping on about where he got selected, it's not
and
true, but we got to just move on.
And
Like,
I do think he does have a lot to offer. I mean, I think that he definitely can bring that defensive element to the side. He's also a very clean user of the football. Just let him play. Let him learn.
yeah, the whole pick number 3 thing I think is ridiculous, because if you want to use that logic, then Larky should be basically out of the league at this point, because he was picked 73. If we're going to go off,
with Sherry,
100%.
Same with Bull. I mean, Bull was
undrafted,
and Sherry was also a 70 something. So it's silly. It's a silly discussion. I think there is so much value in playing him, especially against a side like Sydney, who are they're the best in the competition. They're first on ladder for a reason, and we saw that yesterday. Let him learn. Just let him have the opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a little bit quieter against the Suns last week, but that is his job. His job is to be a lockdown defender. His job hasn't been to rack up possessions. Yeah. It's the double standard again. Is he in the side as a tag, or is he in the side as an inside mid?
Yep.
Make up your mind and then assess his game.
Yeah, going up to the SCG against the Swans as well, I think is a good time to trial some things. Like, I know we're all on a high and we're all like, oh my God, could we compete with the Swans? Realistically, like, I tipped us to lose by like 4 goals.
Yeah.
Which obviously turned out that would have been a great result.
Yeah.
But we, as fans, we all want to say we can win every game, and I agree that's the mentality.
We can win every game. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So, but realistically, there was probably not much of a chance we're going to beat the Swans with where we're at on the ladder. We're not getting past 16th on the ladder in this season anyway. So we've got to be a little bit more realistic about where we're at. The highest we can finish this year is 16th, right? And that would be great. I'd love to. I think we will. I think we'll be above West Coast by the end of the season. But going into a game against the Swans, you can't drop players like that who need game. I agree with you, who need game time, because it is a time to trial some things. I mean, we'll talk about this more when we talk about the forward line, but you talked about like Curtis and Bull going into the midfield a little bit more. There you go. You're moving magnets around a little bit, but it's also Will Phillips has a chance to get on a Gordon or a Warner and be like, okay, where do these guys run? How do these guys set up around contest? So next week when we go against the Blues, where do you stand on Walsh?
Yeah.
Or Cripps if he does go to Cripps, or wherever. You know what I mean?
Alive by Cripps, but yeah, I know.
We would have said that about Dacos too, though, and he didn't. So you never know.
You just don't
need
know.
to stop the goal, or the goal is to stop the player. Like, if he played on Bond, we'd be like, God, he's going to get towed up. If he makes Bond have 24 instead of 34 touches, job done.
Yeah,
you know what
it's
I
just
mean?
minimizing the impact, and I don't. I'm going to contradict myself here because I said if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But Liam Shields with 4 touches. I mean, in my mind, if we really want to persist long term with Phillips as a tagger, I'd omit Shields and I'd bring in Phillips to tag next week.
I agree. I think I said something similar in the preview where I'm like, and look, Toby Pink, eat my words, I guess. But it still kind of stands. Like, Toby Pink's not kicking 2 goals every week, so it's like, a Toby Pink, a Liam Shields, guys like that. I think Curtis Taylor as well. Dylan Stevens was on that. Dylan Stevens had 21 touches yesterday, and I think was fairly solid around the ground at least. But Dylan Stevens maybe is a good example. Like, I did say I think he's a candidate to get dropped as well, even though I liked what he didn't get around the ball anywhere near enough last week, and he was on the list of players that you could make way for someone else to come in. Dylan Stevens then comes out and gets 21 touches, all being maybe lack of impact like the entire team was, but still got around the ball and a good disposal efficiency. Curtis Taylor, I think at the moment is like a perfect sub because he can come in and play that Eddie Ford type role. He could be a spark. But then, you've got to come and perform when you get those opportunities. And Curtis Taylor maybe only getting, 4 or 5 touches or something yesterday. Yeah. Liam Shields, 4 touches. Then you got to start looking at things. Curtis Taylor had a really good month, and I think the last couple of games been flat. I know he's very limited minutes as the sub, but he was dropped back to the sub for a reason.
Yeah.
Just like Dylan Stevens got dropped to the sub for a reason. Yeah. Everybody's been in that position, right? So you got to perform.
There's players that, you could argue to bring back. I mean, I think Zach Fisher would be a great inclusion.
Dersma kicked 3.
And Dersma's had, he's sort of finding a bit of form now, and obviously Logue could come back. So there's room for improvement, and that's a good thing. Being 17th, you want room for improvement. Yeah. But that decision, I mean, it baffled me, and the commentary that's followed has just baffled me. And I'm not saying that what I think is right, but it's just I'm just confused. Like, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I just don't get what's going on here.
Yeah.
Because the narrative around Phillips keeps changing every single week. So I'll be interested to see what we do against Carlton. Okay, voice memos.
Yeah.
Thank you for indulging me with that rant. And thank you to everyone who did send their voice memos in. As you know, we play them every single week on the show. Send in your best, spiciest takes to furthernorthpod@gmail.com after the game. We will throw to your voice memos and we'll see you on the other side.
We'll see you very soon.
Hey Josh, hey Marnie, Jen here. Well, that was shit. Back to life, back to reality. Anyways, hopefully we play better next week against the Blues. Go Roos.
G'day guys, Luke here. Really good effort by the defence this week. And how good has Eddie Ford been the last few weeks? He is improving so much and been a massive part of our forward line. Go the Roos.
Unfortunately, couldn't catch the game today, but this just looks like a reality check for us. But we'll bounce back against Carlton. I know it. I'll pass it over to my girlfriend, though, who has her thoughts on the game.
Let go. Why locked it?
No, you ruined it.
Apparently they're shit and they're never going to see a flag, but, one can hope.
Hello everyone at Further North Pod. Just watched the game and can't say I'm too disappointed with the effort. It was more the connection inside forward 50. I thought the boys played quite well. It was just, a 17th team versus the first team and the best team all year. That's pretty much all it was. Don't think the boys played fairly awful. It was more we couldn't get our game going because we were going up against the best team all year.
Pull yourself together.
Thanks to everyone who sent in their voice.
Don't start it now. We're laughing. It's going to be awful to cut. And it'll be awful to cut and make a smooth thread. No, well, we've started. I don't care. We're starting. Marnie's laughing. Funny joke. We can't say that on air.
Find out at the end of the season what
Not
Josh
safe
has
for
said
web.
before we...
But I've self-roasted just then and Marnie lost it. So
It was great.
Look,
Elite content.
it's pretty rogue round here at Further North HQ today.
Thanks to everyone who sent their voice memos
Yep.
in. We really appreciate
They are
your
good. I love the voice
contributions to the
messages.
show.
Yeah.
Even, obviously had a bit of a dog day yesterday, but, you guys are still showing up for us, so we really appreciate that.
Yeah, look, not quite as many as last week, but I'm assuming we're going to get flooded when we win. And I also kind of like to avoid a lot of North Melbourne when we lose because I'm like, I don't want any negativity. It's all good. Everything's fine. Anyway, here I am saying I avoid North Melbourne. I do a podcast, two episodes a week. What have I done with my life? Anyway.
I'll let you mull over that after the show.
I'm not okay.
Let's talk about Toby Pink.
Oh, please. Toby Pink. Is Toby Pink or Charlie Curnow better, do you reckon?
I reckon Toby Pink, surely.
Absolutely.
How good was his first quarter yesterday?
I'm excited. It's gonna be Toby Pink Curnow shootout like Fev and Buddy. Remember when they were both going for 100?
Yeah. That's
what
next
it's gonna
week.
be like next week.
That is a mouthwatering contest.
Watch out. I'm excited for the montage of their highlights before the game to pump it all up.
Same.
Yeah, wow. Toby Pink only kicks bangers. Curnow only kicks goals from free kicks, but Toby Pink only kicks stunners. So
Watch your Carlton slander around here. Thank you.
we're not all a closet Carlton fan like you, mate. So, okay, forward line. Toby Pink, yeah, good job by Toby Pink.
Excellent first quarter. He took a great contested mark to kick his second goal. His first goal
Actually
was...
kicked the ball straight too. It was crazy. And it was
awesome.
online the whole way.
Yeah,
What is this
and
Toby Pink?
That first goal on the run, slotted it from 40. It was fun. But the thing
It was fun.
The thing with Toby Pink, I don't want to sound mean, right? Is like, it's fun and it's like exciting and it's like, oh my God, Toby Pink kicking goals or this or that.
Yeah.
It's like very cult figure-y, but like a bit of a meme. I
It
say
is,
that with
it's-
all. I say that completely respectfully because I actually think that he has contributed.
I
and
agree.
He has played his role. I mean,
it's hard to explain.
He's held his spot in the side because he's clearly been playing his role, but it's kind of memey at the same time.
I agree. Toby Pink is a player that, if he gets to 50 games for North Melbourne, that is a cracking career for a guy. He's not the best. He's not the best player in that forward line. He's not the best player in the team. Not the best player in the AFL, except to close to a flag, boys.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't know. Everything sounds like we're being mean, but we're not. Everyone loves Toby Pink. I think we know Toby Pink is a limited time thing.
Yeah.
And I would hope so if we're going to move up the ladder. But Toby Pink is fun. Toby Pink is going to be a cult figure and a cult hero for years to
100%.
come. Toby Pink is
Yeah.
always welcome back at North Melbourne after his career ends as well. I don't know. It's not making fun of Toby Pink because we don't think he's good. It's fun because he's doing a lot with a little, almost, and it's like it's just fun while it lasts. Because I think we all know maybe Toby Pink's not going to play 100 games for North Melbourne, but just kind of the way he looks or kicks the ball or all of his goals he scored at the start.
It's a little bit
like,
awkward and it's a little bit fumbly, but it's
very
fun.
like he's not on the level of this player, but it's very Nikola Jokic in the NBA, where Jokic is a big. Do you know anything about Nikola Jokic?
I've got no idea
Come on,
what's
Marnie,
going
watch other sports.
Sorry.
Anyway, so Nikola Jokic is like a 7 foot. He's just like a really fat Serbian bloke, and he like waddles down the court all the time. He's slow and looks. If you looked at him, you would not say he's an athlete, but he's won 3 MVPs. Because he just gets the job done. But it sort of looks gross and looks awkward. But he's like a chubby guy with skinny arms who's just better than everybody else.
I'll give you a North comparison for those who aren't
please.
indulging in the NBA. NBA?
Yes. Good job.
Thank you. It's kind of Nathan Grimery. Like Nathan Grimer was a very serviceable player for North. Like he was solid and he kicked that one freak goal against Essendon.
We'll never forget.
No, exactly. And he was funny and he had a great personality and he was a serviceable player. I mean, he didn't set the world on fire ever, but he came in, he played his role. That's kind of what I see for Toby Pink. Now, Toby Pink playing up forward, there's obviously more opportunity for the goals and for
maybe
the
he's more like a Lachlan
fanfare
Hansen.
and that sort of thing. Lockie Hansen was pick 3 though.
Oh, yeah, he was. Wow. Lockie Hansen and Will Phillips are the same.
Oh my God.
Oh, no. God. That was just a joke. Okay. Did you see on the week, through the week, they posted the father-sons were there?
Yeah.
Did you see Lockie Hansen was there? Looks like he's straight out of Byron now.
I didn't see him. I just saw his kid.
I'm pretty sure it was Lockie Hansen. He didn't do an interview or anything. He was in the background.
Okay.
Full outgrown man bun, beard.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Like,
Did you see Spud's kid?
Oh, yes.
Like actually twins.
Yeah.
That was a great video. For those who haven't seen it.
It was good.
It was very, very good. Yeah, so that's he's fun. He's a good time.
He's fun.
I'm enjoying it. Well,
speaking of a good time, Nick Larkey was good.
Yes, nice to see him back.
Missed
into
a
form.
couple.
Yeah,
he probably should have got. But
kick 3-2.
Yeah, but presenting of the ball, clunking a couple of decent marks.
Well, the delivery to him was nice.
Well, clunking
Makes
some
a
of
big
those
difference.
with the sometimes the delivery was either really good or really poor.
Yeah.
I liked Nick Larkey's game. I like that he found a way to still lead in the forward line or still present and kick goals when the midfield was playing so poorly.
Yeah.
ZURHAAR as well still had an impact.
I thought he played he was one of the best for me, I think. He kicked a couple goals, to a couple really strong marks, but he also in the fourth quarter, he and Paul Curtis were rotated through the centre, and I think that made a big difference because we were just getting completely demolished out of the middle. So to throw those bigger bodies in there
is good, yeah.
And I think as well, and this is annoying because had we made that change at halftime rather than 3/4 time, maybe we would have got a little bit closer. I don't know. This is all hypothetical. We lost by 80 points, but finding a way to to get the two of them more involved in the game. I mean, Bull had 20 something touches and he kicked a couple goals and he had a couple clearances as well. So I think his performance was pretty good on the day considering he's a forward. But yeah, I mean, Eddie Ford was down. Like a lot of them were like pretty quiet. I think
it's hard for the forward line. The forward line is the part that's going to be criticised the most because they can't make their own luck.
No.
It all depends on the midfield. Same going the other way where the ball's coming into that defence so quick.
Yeah.
It all stems from our midfield. And when our
Yeah.
midfield's down, I don't blame the forward line for not getting the opportunities or being able to take as many marks when they're not getting it delivered
But
on
a
their
few
chest.
of them did really stand up. I mean, like we said, Toby Pink
Making
and
something out of
Larky
nothing.
and ZURHAAR all contributed in their own way. Teakle just went completely missing in action. It actually would have been really good for him to step up considering particularly in the ruck contest, Sherry was getting just demolished.
Yeah, he didn't get heaps of opportunity in the ruck. I guess they kept him down forward, but
just kind of had a nothing day. But then that's where Toby Pink stood up. So, Teakle kicked 2 last week and Toby Pink kicked 2 this week. So, at least there's kind of a little bit. I don't mind the 3-prong forward line.
It's very, Brown, Petrie, Waite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think taller forward lines are coming in. You saw obviously the Doggies getting up over the Blues, and they've got a very tall forward line. I know
Yeah.
Lobb played down the back, but usually they've got quite a tall forward line. You know, the Swans have their taller forward line as well, with a few players with McLean, McDonald and Amati.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite popular amongst the league now. So, yeah, who knows what the game's doing. Taggers are back, tall forward lines are back. This is wild. I don't even know what's happening in 2024.
It's becoming more about skill and less about athleticism, which is nice because it is a game of skill.
There's not really much more to talk about with the forward line, though, to be honest. I mean, we took I guess opportunities we got.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we squandered heaps of opportunities in the forward line. We just lacked opportunities.
Well, we went at 45% efficiency inside 50, which is pretty good.
For us, it's good. For us,
the Swans went at like 60-something%.
Yeah.
But for us, over recent weeks, it's good. It's just obviously not enough when the opposition's doubled your score.
Yes. No, absolutely. But yeah, look, I guess Toby Pink was fun. Bull and Larky kicked a couple, and other than that, it kind of is what it is. But that's really all I've got about the game.
Sticking with Toby Pink, I think his 2 goals were our golden helmet moment for
Toby Pink goal on the
this
run.
week. The goal on the run, the opening
Toby
goal.
Pink goal on the run is golden helmet this week.
The opening goal, he took the mark, he took a few steps and just banged it through the big sticks from 40 metres out. That was great. That's a highlight you'll be watching all week. That's the only highlight you really need to rewatch from that game.
Oh, that is true. Has that been put on the socials, Marnie, on the North Melbourne official?
To be honest with you, I've kind of avoided everything about that game since it ended yesterday. But I will go and have a look. Surely, it's one of the great moments.
Are we now
of the
saying
season.
that Toby Pink is better on the run than LDU at kicking for goal?
We're just saying Toby Pink is the greatest player to
Toby
ever
Pink is
pull
better.
on the jumper.
Full stop.
Yeah. Good on him.
This is about the forward line. I wasn't going to talk about. We'll post up a photo. I watched last night. I somehow got in the depths of KO and watched the 93 game. I don't know if it was a final.
Being a North Melbourne
1993 Hawks North is on KO. I don't know if it was a final or not.
It might have been.
I don't think it was. 47,000 at the G or something like that. But it was wet and it was gross. There was no one there. Anyway, Wayne Carey looks a lot like Charlie Combat. Hair, muscles, the way he catches the ball.
He would have been like 21 at this point. Just want to put it out there. So, you know, same age,
just saying,
similar age to Chom as well.
There was a couple of moments where Wayne Carey led at the ball and took a mark and presented. And his body movement, the body shape, the hair, the handsome facial structure, very Chom-esque. And
I've
I
seen
was
the
like,
photos. Josh has shown me a comparison, and we'll put them on socials this week. It's a bit freaky.
It is a bit scary. Maybe Charlie Comben was one of Wayne Carey's sort of smattering of children all across Victoria. Who knows?
God.
Sorry, Chom, for that. I'm sure your father's lovely and your family, because you've turned out to be a great bloke. But
this is taking a
this
weird
is rogue
turn.
because this is what happens when we get Smash Money. We've got to find alternate content.
Let's go to Sean Atlee Club Chat.
All right, fine. Oh, you don't want to talk about this more? You don't want to talk about maybe Charlie Comben being a possible offspring of Wayne Carey?
No, I'm done with that conversation. But we will put the photos up during the week so you guys
Are
can
you
let
sure
us
you don't
know
want to
what
talk
you
about it
think.
anymore?
Yeah, Sean Atlee Club Chat. Not much to talk about here.
Archer 3 for his shutdown role on Will Hayward. Another classic from Archer. I mean, Archers love performing against the Swans. Glenn Archer shut down Tony Lockett at the 96 grand final, and Jackson Archer shut down Will Hayward in a random game in the middle of the season when we're 17th on the
It's
ladder.
quite impressive what he's doing.
No, good on him. Love him. It's great.
Like I never really knew what to expect with Jackson Archer, and I think this season he's just come out and taken the bull by the horns. That's someone who's really made the most of their opportunity.
It's very interesting to see the difference of opinion in Jackson Archer before he's got his role or run in the season, in the team this season, because it was very I've always been a Jackson Archer guy. I've always put him in my best 22 when they're all fit. I feel like for the last 2 years I've been saying that just because I think he's got raw attributes to be the type of defender we want him to be. Other people didn't think he was at the level. I'm going to toot my own horn and say I caught it and I told you guys because I'm an elite football brain, Marnie.
Yep.
But good on him because he's taken some big scalps. I mean, Will Hayward is no slouch of a player.
No.
Fritz is no slouch of a player and he's doing a real good job.
Yeah.
I could only imagine if he didn't stop Hayward how big the score could have got.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fantastic job by him. LDU, we've put 2.
Yep.
Best midfielder on the day, still had impact, still burst away from contests and tried his best even though there was maybe lack of composure when delivering the ball into the 50.
Yeah.
And then we put Bull I originally put Larky, wasn't completely sold on it, and Marnie.
I just think Bull had a
basically
more
overruled.
complete game. I think when he
Yeah,
went
it's
into
fair.
the midfield, he had an impact. He obviously kicked a couple of goals as well. He took some really strong marks. I think either of them could have gone for the one, but I just think Bull's game was more well-rounded. So we've gone with ZURHAAR for the one vote.
Wowee. So Archer 3, LDU 2, Bull 1. Let us know if you think, I'm sure you'll let us know if we're wrong. Everyone likes telling me who we missed. So thank you for that. To finish off.
A bit of news from this week.
Just a bit of news and getting your thoughts. I talked about this a little bit on the preview, but we try to keep the preview shorter, so I didn't get to speak heaps on it. In the last few days, a lot of ZURHAAR rumours that he's going to stay. Multiple
incredible
sources.
turnaround.
It is, apparently all he wanted to see was improvement.
Yeah.
And that there is improvement and we've taken another step up.
Yeah.
I think it's clear to see we have done that, but how do you feel if we did give him that 5-year deal now compared to obviously a couple of months ago?
No, I think I said at the start of the year that I think ZURHAAR has as much to prove to North as we have to prove to him. And I think both parties have stepped up. I think his year has been excellent. The hard thing with ZURHAAR is in the past few seasons, he's had a really slow start to the year. And then as the season's
Sort of
gone
come
on,
good.
he's built and built and built on it. So it'd be really good to try and find a way to get him firing from round one. But I think that he is a really important player to us. And I've come on here and criticised him and I've questioned his attitude at times because it's hard not to when you've got those rumours circling around in your mind of is he going to stay, is he going to go? And you don't know if he looks interested, engaged. Like it's really hard, I think, to pick up on those things sometime. And we're both body language. Well, I'm a body language person. You're a body language. You know what I mean? So I think that for me, he's definitely at this point where I'm comfortable giving him that contract on the back of what we've seen now this season. I think he's had a very very good year. And I think he's always found a way to contribute. A slow start to the season, sure, but I think that was, a reflection on the entire group that was on the park week in, week out. I just really hope that if we do give him this 5 year, I don't have an issue giving him a 5 year.
I don't want a Jake Stringer situation where he gets the deal and then sort of cruises.
Yeah, and it's sort of like I think if the reason why he was not signing the contract and is because he wanted to see improvement, he's got to understand, he's got to take ownership that he's part of that.
Yeah, but he did say that as well, that he hasn't been good enough.
Yeah,
he acknowledged his own form.
Yeah, which is great. And I think that's what he's got to do. And he's got to continue to perform and, maybe having that confirmation of, yep, I'm staying, and maybe him recommitting is going to be a way for him to be able to get the best out of himself because he knows now that, here we are and it's time. And this comes back to how important the remainder of the season is. Like, I don't want another performance like we had against Sydney.
No.
We may go down. We may lose badly to Carlton. We may lose badly to Geelong. We've got Hawthorn later in the year as well. We've got the Dogs again. They were really impressive. They've been really impressive, on and off the past few weeks as well. So we've got these teams that do have the ability to rip us to shreds. I don't want us to do that. I think we really need to find a way to weather the storm, to stand firm and to just give our absolute best for the last 6 rounds of the season and put ourselves in a really good position mentally to come out firing round 1 next year.
I think it's interesting. I maybe slightly differ. I still be worried to give him a 5-year deal. I think he's proven a lot. I think he's been really good and really important to us post-bye.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think, with the team playing the way they are, it's a massive beneficiary of that. If we can go and recruit a genuine second forward, and I love Bryn Teakle, and I think he can do a really good job, and I would hope, almost like the Bulldogs, if we go and get another forward to partner up with Larky, I'd like Teakle to still stay in the team somehow. I don't know how that works, but if that is a Rory Lobb type role, we can go back, even though our defence has got a lot of players in it. That's a next year problem. I think if ZURHAAR can be that third tall, not even tall, that third forward, and then goes into the midfield more, very De Goey-esque.
Yeah.
I would love that role for him. But if he doesn't play that role, I maybe don't think he sometimes lacks impact in games like we had yesterday. I know he played well, and I think it was good. If he didn't go into the midfield, I don't think we'd be putting him in the top 3 or anything like that. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
It's not necessarily his fault. It's also coaching. But what do you do with him? 5-year deal for a player like that. I think he's been good this season. I probably expected more as a whole for his season still.
Well, there's still 6 rounds left. I think
100%. And I'm not saying he's been bad at all. It's not a criticism on him. I just think I maybe would have wanted a little bit more as the season as a whole.
I think you're undervaluing his season, to be honest with you. Just because I think Larky's been extremely inconsistent. I think ZURHAAR's been our most consistent forward for the year. I know that's a really big call to make, but there's been times, especially, I think Larky's been quite inconsistent. 1 week he'll have 4, and then the next week he won't kick anything.
I think Larky's
right?
standard's higher though. So like even though Larky's first couple of months of the year was, we would say poor, he was still kicking like a couple of goals in most of those games.
I don't disagree with you, but I think he's been very up and down, whereas I think Bull's always been, for the most part, he's been able to contribute solidly.
Even before the bye? Because I don't have that opinion on it.
Maybe not necessarily, but pre-bye he was going into the middle and he was, at times, and he was still having an impact. I think he's been very reliable, and I think he's still been able to show up and kick goals in most games where Larky maybe hasn't. I think ZURHAAR, while maybe he hasn't had the impact that a Larky can have, and like obviously the first quarter against Collingwood's a really good example with Larky kick 4 goals and he set the world on fire and he is the guy. I just think ZURHAAR, I think he's flown under the radar a little bit, to be honest. I think would have I expected more? Maybe in front of goal, but then I look at the work that he has done in the middle of the ground, which is something he's never really done before. And I think he's always kind of found a way, for the most part, to contribute. Every player has their off day, and he's not excused from that.
Of course.
But I've definitely been, overall, yes, I can put my hand up and say I've definitely questioned him at times, sure. But I mean, it's not hard to do that when, the whole team's been questioned quite often so far this season. But I think that his season has been pretty consistent, and I actually think he's probably flown under the radar a little bit because you've got the guys like Larky doing flashy things and you've got the guys like Curtis doing flashy things. And I think because Bull does have that X factor, we do expect him to be the flashy guy. I mean, everyone thinks about the King of Marvel, for example, and that was just an out of skin sort of performance. But I still think he's found a way to contribute most weeks, be it in the middle, be it up forward, be it, that sort of thing. So
I think I would say I think consistent. Yeah, you could say he's been consistent. I think maybe he's lacked X factor though. Maybe that's it. Like if he can do those King of Marvel games and those flashy things on top of what he's doing, I think that's what I want from him. And I don't think he's done the flashy highlight sort of stuff this year, but I do trust him in the last couple of months to at least show up and contribute. But I don't think he really was doing that enough, especially for the preseason he was meant to have had and all that sort of stuff. But you're probably right. Like, I just think Larky, I think Larky's built into the season better. And I think Larky was probably worse than, I don't agree. I think Larky still has had a better overall season.
They've had different seasons. I think maybe we just need to shift our expectation of what ZURHAAR will be to the side.
But then it's like, then there's the 5-year deal thing. So if our expectation shifts into ZURHAAR maybe just being more consistent and maybe not being one of our top 5 players, then I don't know if a big 5-year deal suits him. I don't know what the money is, and we don't know what the money is. But look, I would like him to stay, and I know we said different things before the bye, obviously emotions and how bad we're all playing. I would like him to stay, but I would still be concerned with a 5-year deal from maybe his track record in the last 3 years. But if he can play like he's been playing the last couple of months, if a 5-year deal is what we have to do to keep him, I still think for a club like North, we do that.
I also think a 5-year deal will be like, okay, you're here for 5 years. We actually can really make a charge up the ladder within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So you better buckle up.
Yeah, you're a key part in that.
Exactly. I mean, Larky signed a big deal. She's all signed a big deal. Maybe being the ability to keep this group together, this core group together for as long as possible, to be able to push for finals and be able to push ourselves back up the ladder, maybe that's an important piece to it.
Clarkson has opened up to the boys, apparently.
I love this so much.
So the report is, and this, I think this was said or sort of banded around a little bit a couple of weeks ago, but it seems to be coming out more this week.
It was an interview that Charlie commented for the Herald Sun.
Yes. And sort of talking about, Clarkson opening up about the Hawthorn saga to the boys. Sort of what I said in the preview, and we'll let you have your say. But what I sort of said, which I'm sure a lot of you listened to, is that I think, continuity in a young group or like trust in a young group is important. And I think I could only imagine being in a football club when there's a big cloud over your coach about maybe what they've done off the field, especially having a lot of Indigenous history in our club and our captain being Indigenous and so many good Indigenous players. Why there might be a little bit of hesitation to play for the coach. And I think once you get to that level of elite sport, an extra 5% of we love our coach compared to he's a great guy can make a massive difference.
Yeah.
And I think, good on him for being honest enough and, putting the team first in a way to be able to open up about all of that sort of stuff. I don't know what was said, and we'll never know. We never should know, to be honest. That's between Clarko and the players.
Yeah.
But I like that it does seem to have brought everybody together, and maybe they're going to play from a little bit more understanding his story.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's one of the best stories that's come out of the club the whole year, to be honest. I know that probably sounds like a little bit over the top, but the game's changed so much now. I mean, you think about like when North was last really successful, like in the 90s. Like Dennis Pagan.
Tell that to the 2014 elimination final, Marnie. Come on.
Like someone like Dennis Pagan, it was tactician, it was, a football brain, it was, all about the tactics and the
put
skills
a rocket up
and
your
stuff like
players
that
as well and tell them
whatever.
to harden up.
Lee Matthews and, these sorts of guys. And then you look at the coaches that have become really successful in the last sort of 10 years. I mean, you look at a guy like Craig McRae is probably very extreme. Like he's an incredibly emotional guy. And I think he's the bond that he's built with his players and is how he's able to get the best out of them. But I think you've got to find that middle ground. Someone like Damien Hardwick's done it really, really well when he was at Richmond. I think Simmo is probably the same when he was at West Coast. It's being able to find that line between building connections and genuine connections and being vulnerable with your players and having that two-way relationship, but then also like whipping them into shape when you need to. And I think that is so important, especially for North. Like, and look, I don't want to like call us we're a smaller club, sure.
Yeah, of course we are.
We are a smaller club. I don't want to use that as an excuse, but I just think at North, like it's a real.
It all matters though.
It's a heart and soul thing. I'm not saying it's at Collingwood or Carlton. It's not heart and soul because I think Michael Voss does it really well as well. But it's just being vulnerable and being open with the players from Clarko's perspective. I'm talking about really enables them to, as you said, to trust him more.
But there's a lot more us against the world at North Melbourne. And this is something that LDU talked about when he sort of a couple of weeks ago was like, I'd like to stay because it is that family-orientated local footy club feel. Carlton isn't that.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be. They know they don't have to be. So they don't do those sort of things. I'm not saying that they rock in there and just like tag their card and go, yeah, let's play football. I know that they're passionate and they're a family as well.
Yeah.
But they don't have that thing where everyone's against them. And people hate them, but because they're good, right? Yeah. And the media talk them up. They get talked up more than any other team in the entire league, right? So it's not them against the world. It's everyone saying you can do it. You're good. Go and do it. But for North, even if we're in prelims, we're not like that.
Yeah,
it is backs against the wall for us all the time, which clubs like Collingwood, Carlton, Richmond, Geelong will never understand.
Yeah.
So, I think good on Clarko for realising that. And you hear Clarko talk about like Shinbono spirit and all that sort of stuff.
It's clearly united the group a lot.
Yeah. But that stuff genuinely means something. Do you reckon the players walked in there and thought about Shinbono spirit or the 90s or the 70s or whatever under David Noble and Reece Shaw? Hell no, they didn't. No way. I never heard those guys say any of that once.
Yeah.
So, Clarkson's actually brought a culture to this club and a backs against the wall mentality, which I think can unite them. But then, like I said, having that little bit of doubt about his off-season, off-field stuff, opening up about that,
insight.
Lets everybody in to be that one unified
100%.
thing. So I think that's good. Last talking point, I'm sure this doesn't exist anymore after the weekend, but we were the number one rated defense over the last 6 weeks.
Incredible.
Shout out to the defense. Let's try and limit the 8 and core chat, Marnie, but evenly spread your love through the entire defense, please.
No, all I was going to say is this was a segment that Daniel Hoyle, whatever his name is, on SCN.
I'm not the names guy. People roast me for saying Cherry, Sherry all the time. I'm trying. Get off my back.
This was a segment on SEN.
Sorry, Marnie, I got emotional.
Daniel, the journalist. I'm just
Daniel with first name basis now, mate. Must be nice.
There were 2 players that he pointed out in this clip. Who were they, Josh?
No idea. No, all right. Not Darcy Duggar. Nathan Grimer. Charlie Comben.
Yes.
Jackson Archer. Aiden Core. Yeah. Go on, talk about Aiden Core then.
No, I just think he's had a great season. People are going to come after me.
Yeah, they are, because it's just turned into an Aiden Core podcast.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
No, we have acknowledged Aiden Core's good form.
No, I think, but I do.
It's massive because we've got someone like Charlie, as we've seen, maybe isn't the best one-on-one guy, but intercepting
is incredible.
And if Aiden Core can shut down or limit the other forward,
well, none of these guys are getting in each other's way, and I think it's incredible. I just think it's incredible considering we were sitting here at the start of the year thinking, what the hell are we going to do with our backline?
Yeah, the turnaround.
And we've spoken about this multiple times in the podcast this season, especially in the last 6 weeks, but it's been, the turnaround of our defense has just been phenomenal, and it's been incredible to watch. And I think they're all playing their role, and it's, and then, I never thought that we'd get better, and then bringing McKercher back in, it's just been even better. So kudos to the back line and kudos to the defense. I mean, they've definitely been the...
Can we play McKercher and Fisher in the same team?
I think we can.
Because we have to, because Fisher absolutely deserves his spot and so does McKercher.
Yeah, I actually would consider bringing Fisher back in as the sub next week.
The sub? Really?
Yeah,
That's harsh. I think you just put him straight back. He deserves it. He's been great.
Yes, I do agree with you, but I think that we need to try and maybe find another role, like not another role for him.
McKercher just goes to the wing for me. Like, Fisher was doing, I think we underrate Zach Fisher. I think
think Zach Fisher's had a great season.
I'm not saying you do, but I think as a general, we underrate Zach Fisher's contribution to this team only because he started a little bit poor.
Yeah.
And then he came on and he's been really, really good. Zach Fisher's the kind of guy now, like a Luke McDonald or a Jack Siebel last year, does one bad thing and we go, oh my God, Zach Fisher turned the ball over again. Yeah. Even though he's had like another 7 kicks that have got it out of our defense and have been quite good.
Yeah.
Just move McKercher to the wing. McKercher, I know he's been playing so good off halfback. A winger can push down to halfback anyway. So it doesn't mean you got to stand on the wing.
So who do you take out?
I would take out a Curtis Taylor or...
But Curtis Taylor's currently the sub.
Yeah, well, you can switch the magnets around. Maybe you could put Shields or take Shields out. There's options. I think Shields or Curtis Taylor make way.
Yeah, I'd love to see Fisher back in the side next week.
Yeah, has to. Anyway, if anyone thinks Fisher shouldn't be brought back in and because that detriments McKercher, no, that's wrong. We've got too many good players.
Shuffle the magnets and find a way to make it work.
Because long term, Fisher's got a 5-year deal. McKercher's going to be here a long time.
Yeah.
You got to make that work. So McKercher's played a midfield wing his whole junior career as well. So imagine McKercher and Sheasel both kicking the ball into the 50. Like that. That's pretty sweet. So let's make that work.
Great, love that.
Other than that, I think we're pretty sweet, Marnie. Is there anything else you'd like to...
There's one more thing I want to ask you, actually.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, I forgot to write this down.
God.
As we all know, during the week, Adam Simpson is no longer the coach of West Coast. He won't go anywhere this year, obviously. He's going to have some time off. He may even take another year off next year. What do you think about trying to get him back to North?
Yeah, in a heartbeat, to be honest. It's interesting, like Xavier Clark. We haven't heard anything from him all year. I just find it interesting. He's our assistant coach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So even the fact that I had to consider, is he an assistant or like a forward? I haven't seen him do anything. And I know it's an assistant coach. I'm sure he's great. I'm not doubting Xavier Clark at all. I think, his experience with Richmond and Clarkson brought him in for a reason, and I trust Clarkson's judgment. But yeah, maybe would have wanted to see a little bit more from Xavier Clark, just speaking or talking about, tactics or to show that maybe he's under Clarkson's wing and really learning some stuff.
Yeah.
Just a bit of connection with him is maybe what I'm saying. I would take Simmo back in a heartbeat.
I think we need to have a conversation with, and I'm sure the club will have a conversation with Simmo at some point, but even if he comes in as like that Brett Ratton role of like a bit of a consultant, I would like to have him there full time. I don't know if part-time is the right thing for North, but I would really like to see us at least try and bring him back. And I mean, I watched the game yesterday against Sydney. You've got Leon Cameron on the bench. He's part of their coaching, and you've obviously got guys like Brendan Bolton and Alan Richardson, and they've all coached their own sides, and they've gone on to, even like someone like Voss between coaching at Brisbane and then coming over to Carlton, like he was at Port Adelaide for a really long time. I think there's a lot of value in having these guys at the helm.
Even him as a development role, I mean, he's such a good player, and obviously has coached premierships.
As a captain,
his experience genuinely with any role at the club would be fantastic. But yeah, like even a midfield coach or a development coach.
I think when the time is right, they should definitely approach him.
I agree.
Sure.
Too much experience to be left out in the market. Will he go to it and be the head coach of another team? Maybe he will as well.
Point.
So,
don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to think also that we're just going to get Simmo back because we're North Melbourne as well. He did acknowledge us in his interview. But there's probably more money out there as well. The other thing he did talk about was his kids have all grown up in Western Australia as well. And all their friends are there.
It's a nice lifestyle over in WA.
So it's like, if you had a few kids and all their mates were at the, what are you smiling at me like that for? All their mates were at school and stuff, it'd be hard to move your family completely on the other side of the country.
Come back home, Simmo.
All right. Marnie's finally lost the plot.
All right, we're wrapping up. If you want to stay up to date with us throughout the week, you can find us on social media, Further North Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Hi, YouTube.
Hello. Get us to 1,000, please.
And thank you again for for voice memos for those who sent them in. We play them every week on the pod. If you want to send Josh any fan mail or love letters, you can send those in as well. furthernorthpod@gmail.com. It's a big week for me this week.
It's a big week.
The closet Carlton fan.
Yeah, the
is
closet
coming
Carlton
out.
fan, Marnie. Look, the wrong shade of blue for you sometimes.
It's
And I'm getting
really-
concerned.
It's really funny. People get so mad the fact that I have this love affair with Carlton. I just find them really fun to watch. I think they're, it's high vibes. I would never ever stray. If people actually have rocks in their head and clearly don't know me well enough, if they ever think I would ever genuinely go for another team. But I do enjoy Carlton, and I do, it's like I'm going to be going for them this weekend. Obviously, I want us to beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
But it's a big week this week, so we will be back with a very special preview pod on Friday, and then next week after our game, make sure you get down to the game as well. It's not our home game, but hopefully you can grab some tickets if you can. Sunday 4:40 at Marvel Stadium. And we'll see you guys after that.
Yes, there'll be more Zoom content over the next couple of weeks as well. I'm going
Josh
for a
is going
holiday.
on vacation, a well-deserved vacation.
Yes, I've been grinding out a podcast for nearly a couple of years now, Marnie, and my head's gone. I look like Adam Simpson.
I can't believe he needs a break from me, guys. It's cruel.
We need to take a break, Marnie. I don't know if we want to air out this dirty laundry on the podcast, but
Ridiculous.
No, I'll be in Queensland getting a tan, all burning, and when my skin peels off.
Burning, definitely.
But definitely burning.
The Tasmanian skin.
Yes, it's the Irish heritage. The beard colour definitely suggests that Son and me aren't the best friends. I'll be in Queensland, so I'll try to still podcast. I'm going to podcast for you guys on my vacation as well. So please.
Dedication to the cause.
Hey,
I was in Queensland earlier this year and I did it too.
Oh, yes, Marnie, I know. Yeah, it's
not all heroes
drags
wear
it
capes.
back about herself all
Not
the
all
time.
heroes wear capes. Some of them are just two nuffies on a North podcast.
That is true. So look, I'll be podcasting from poolside, sipping a margarita.
Will you miss me when you go away?
Yeah. It'll be a nice break. Okay. I'm joking, Marnie. I'm joking.
Wow.
I'm joking.
That's a real bruise to the ego.
Yes. Anyway, me and Marnie are going to go and argue off camera. We're not going to film that. And
we'll see you guys on
talk to you
Friday
guys
for the
soon.
preview pod.
All right.
Bye.
See you. Bye.